I'm Mark Halperin. Welcome to Wide World of News. We're here with 4 Trump voters, 4 Biden voters in the wake of President Biden's first full-scale White House press conference. This week, he also announced that the Vice President, Kamala Harris, would be helping lead the effort in dealing with the border crisis, particularly focusing on dealing with those Central American countries that are the source of so many of the folks who make the trek north. So we'll bring in our group and ask you all about Vice President Harris. Leah, I'm wondering, start with you. What do you think of the job the Vice President's done so far?
I mean, staying under the radar, I guess, is best for her. She's not very likable, I don't feel like. And I don't have very much confidence that she's going to help at the border either. So,
okay. What other folks think?
I think when they asked her about it and she kind of laughed about the whole situation, that says a lot about how she's going to control that situation when it's hers to control.
She seems to laugh a lot when she doesn't know what to say.
The nervous
laugh.
she comes across
like a cackle.
It's like the Joker.
Right.
I think she comes across strong and confident, and I feel very good having her in the office.
I'm with Josh.
I'm worried about that.
You know, I think she might be president soon, unfortunately.
It's 2021 and women are still held to likable. Really? Likable? We still don't hear that about men, but likable.
Right.
Competent.
Maybe we should have just said incompetent.
Competent, qualified, competent, and yet
Joe Biden's not likable either, though.
If you look at if you look at her district, if you look at the state of defunding the police,
it was never funding.
People are defecating on the street.
She is like women.
San Francisco is a cesspool. I'm just saying, the proof is in the pudding.
When we talk about security, I don't think the state capitol in California was overrun, but while Trump was president, our U.S. capitol was overrun. So,
back to the Vice President. I'm gonna give you some adjectives. You raise your hand if you think they apply to Vice President Harris. Okay, competent. Raise your hand if you think she's competent. All right, our 4 Democrats. Raise your hands if you think she's a nice person. All right, do it. 3 of you think she's a nice person. Okay, raise your hand if you think she's ambitious. Okay, raise your hand if you think that she'll someday be president of the United States.
Sadly.
Okay, let me ask you, Leslie, you've been her biggest defender here, or one of her biggest defenders. Why don't you think she'll ever be president?
I just don't know. I mean, I hope I see a female president. I even hear in tonight's panel, women in public office have so much more of a fight than men do. I hope I see a female. I just don't know if it will be her.
Why does gender
matter? I do too, and I hope it's Candace Owens.
Me too.
Yes.
I agree with that, but honestly, why does gender matter so much?
Exactly. I'm the same.
It matters when I hear women held to a higher standard. That's when it matters.
Somebody who is commander-in-chief, I don't care what gender, race, whatever they are, they need to be competent. They need to be able to do the job, which is not what we have right now.
It's about best person for the job, regardless of gender, regardless of sexual orientation, regardless of race. Best person for the job.
She's not likable, and you can't name me another vice president that really even the country cared about. If you ask 2 months into their administration, that country didn't care about the vice president. Now all of a sudden she's the worst vice president. I just think there's a double standard, and I look.
He's as far left as they have come.
Radical.
Well, I think there's people further.
Radical.
That's what we disagree with.
And if she's the one taking calls from other countries, then she's been more active than other vice presidents.
I want to ask you one more question about the vice president, and then I want to ask the 4 Trump voters a question. Raise your hand if you think Vice President Harris is more progressive, is to the left politically of Joe Biden. Raise your hand. All right, all of you think she's to the left. I'm going to go around and ask you, tell me one issue, just one issue that comes to mind where you think she is to the left of President Biden. Lisa.
Abortion.
Okay, Seamus.
I'll have to think about that for a second. Come back to me.
Okay. Dixie.
Gun control and abortion.
Steve.
The environment.
Okay, Leah.
Mine was going to be abortion too, but basically just economics in general.
Okay, Leslie.
Healthcare.
Janine.
I'm going to say abortion and gun control. Yeah.
Josh.
Economics and criminal justice reform.
Okay, Seamus, one more try.
I'll go with Josh. I think that's right. I think she is more progressive in terms of criminal justice, having seen the reality of it,
Right.
and economically trying to be more progressive to develop the economy for the working class and poor people.
Okay. Finally, with just the 4 Trump voters, I want to ask you a question. If in 2024 Donald Trump himself does not run for president, who would your first choice be right now for who the Republican nominee would be? Dixie?
Alan West.
Okay. Leah?
Ron DeSantis,
Okay.
but Candace Owens as well. I love her.
Janine?
Yes.
I'm going to say I agree completely with Leah. The DeSantis and Candace.
Okay. And Lisa?
DeSantis and Candace
Okay.
in any form,
Right. It's kind of almost a rhyming ticket if they ended up running together.
right?
Thank you all for joining us. I appreciate it. And thank you for watching. You can get more all the time right here on Wide World of News.